like I said, we're talking about the first 30 days today. So what I'm going to be going over is the JAG Pre-Test, career assessments, the basic skills testing that needs to be administered, student retention report, the class of 2017 follow-up data entry, student profiles and IDPs, as well as introductory letters. So I am Beth Vanderark, the Operations Coordinator for Youth Solutions and Jobs for Michigan's graduates. Basically, my job is to offer support to in-school specialists. So thank you for joining my call, and feel free to type up with questions as they come up. As a reminder, of course, we always go over our mission and vision, our mission being that every young adult is educated, employed, and career-bound. And our mission is to equip young adults with the skills to overcome barriers and win in education, employment, and as citizens. Okay, so the first report that needs to happen for new specialists, or for any in-school specialist actually, is the student retention report, which if you have not done so in the past, it's really simple. It's just something that needs to be done each year. Basically, it's showing the status of students who were enrolled in the Jobs for Michigan's Graduates Program last year. So at the end of the school year, the specialist goes in and puts in the student status, whether it be that they're still enrolled or they've graduated or dropped out. And then the specialist will come back again at the start of the next school year and give an update on where those students from last year are now. So whether or not they've come back to school or they are, say if a student graduated, of course you would select graduated again. Hopefully they haven't come back to school if they already graduated. But if they dropped out and they did come back to school, you would select that. So who needs to do this? Any multi-year specialists who are operating a program that is not in its first year of operation. So if the program you're operating, either you were the specialist last year or that someone was a specialist last year for that program, you'll need to go ahead and do this. So just a note, the data that you're entering here will be for last year's roster. So it will be under the 2016-2017 roster. Even if you have the students on your current roster, this will be entered under last year because you're doing retention for the students from last year. So what is the purpose of this? We report out a return to school rate. So basically we're reporting back, or we're reporting out to stakeholders, students who were supposed to come back to school came back to school, hopefully. So that's what we're looking at here. So to access the screen in ENDMS, across the red bar at the top, you click enter, and then you'll see a drop down there. You'll select retention. And from there, you will see the list of the students on the roster you have selected, which should be multi-year or alternative 2016-17, depending on which program application you are operating. And you will be entering under the September 30th status. So the options it gives you are pretty simple. You can select enrolled in the same school, enrolled in a different school, dropped out, graduated. Pretty self-explanatory from there. So that is the retention report. This needs to be done. I know it says September 30th status. Our goal is actually to have all this data entered, and so I can run my report September 25th. So you have about 11 days on that one if you have not done it already. Of course, I'll go ahead and run reports to see who's missing theirs, and if you're missing yours, I will certainly let you know. But it's helpful if you just go ahead and do it in the first place. So this is, like I said, student retention report under enter retention, and it goes under last year's roster. So this needs to be done each year. It's a pretty simple process, but it is very important. And just as a reminder for this webinar and all webinars, our conversation happens on that webinar chat channel of Slack. So if you want to go ahead and log on to Slack, that's the best way to ask questions. Since it's difficult for me to monitor the chat box while I have the webinar going on. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the webinar chat channel on Slack. So the next topic is JAG Pre-Tests, which there was a delay on getting our tests this year, but they are now available and posted in Dropbox for you to access. For multi-year and alternative, you'll use the same test. It's just labeled multi-year, but it's applicable for multi-year and alternative programming. So this test needs to be administered anytime between the start of the school year and October 20th. So a reason for waiting and doing it a little later would be if your student roster is not finalized yet, if you're not sure exactly which students you're going to be serving all year, it might be best to wait. So you're not administering tests to students who aren't actually going to be staying in your classroom. But once your roster is finalized, you can go ahead and administer the test. It's easiest if you can just do it all in one day for all your students and get it over with. It's not a super exciting test, but it is an agreement with JAG that will do this. So students will do a pre-test at the beginning of the school year, and then a post-test right before the end of the year. So if there are any out-of-school specialists on, just as a reminder, this test for out-of-school is administered whenever the student enrolls. So because the out-of-school program has open enrollment and open exit, you just go ahead and administer the test individually with students whenever they enroll. So the test, along with the answer key, is available in Dropbox under the Curriculum and Resources folder that you all should have access to. It's under JAG Pre and Post Test. From there, you just click through to find the one you're looking for. It's broken down by year and then also by in-school and out-of-school. So just make sure you're using the appropriate test from Dropbox. Like I said, the answer key is there as well. So however you're going to deliver this is up to you. Most specialists choose to just go ahead and do paper pencil. So they just print out the test and the student circle the answer they think is right. And then the specialist will manually add up their score. I know other specialists have created a Google form where they type out the test that way. And I guess it helps with grading. I haven't actually seen the form, but I've heard that it's been used. So that's one option as well. However you choose to deliver it is really up to you. Okay, after you deliver your pre-test, you need to make sure to log it in ENDMS, of course. So this is under that Enter tab. You just click Enter and then Text. And then you'll see the option across the top, competency, reading, math, language, other. Make sure you are selected the checkbox for competency, and then you're entering it into the pre-score column. Of course, make sure you click Save at the bottom so that all your data entry is saved, and then you'll want to go ahead and enter a model service for these students as well, so that there's a log there, a record that the test was in fact administered. So I know this is something you'll administer for all your students, so make sure that you utilize the batch entry feature for model services. It'll just save you a lot of time from going in and so you don't have to go through and select for each student and enter the model service individually. If you have questions about doing batch entry, please let me know. It really saves a lot of time when you have students in the in-school setting and they're all doing the same thing together. So once you've done that, you can kind of forget about the pre-test until the end of the school year. You'll retest again in May. There is a separate post-test, which we don't have them yet, but they will be posted in Dropbox once they're available. We'll go ahead and redo that in May, and it's the same process for entering the scores at the end of the year. Okay, something else that has to happen during the first 30 days, or depending on when you started school, maybe a little more than 30 days out, but that is the basic skills testing. So similar to the process for the pre-test, for your students' basic skills testing, you will just administer a test, enter the scores in ENDMS, make sure you enter a model service, and retest at the end of the year. So the window for this test delivery is now through October 20th. And then once again for out of school, it's just whenever the students enroll is when you'll go ahead and enter and deliver their tests and enter the scores. So some options for this, if you are not sure what type of a basic skills test you have access to, I know TABE, which is the Test of Adult Basic Education, there is a free version. It's paper pencil though, so it takes longer, and you have to manually add it to scores. But that one is free to do the paper version. So if you want more information on that, just let me know and I can get you some information on that. There is an electronic version as well, but I know there's a fee for that, as well as Wonderlic. I believe Wonderlic is about $7 a test. So you'll have to be in touch with your manager about what's in the budget as far as what you have for your program for testing, if anything, and then you can look at some different options for there. So once again, this goes under the same screen for test entry. Let me go back a couple slides here so you can see. On the same screen that you would do the pre and post test, you just select up at the top what you need scores for is reading and math. So you'll go ahead and put those in there. If there is someone at your school who's administering one of these, a test similar to one of these, you can go ahead and get scores from them and input, but you'll want to make sure it's a test that's going to be administered at the beginning of the year and then again at the end of the year. So we had a question on Slack from Kim, how can I access a free version? Kim, I'll post resources about that. I don't have it right here in front of me, but I know that our local programs have done that in the past. So I will check on that and post the information about the free paper pencil version of TABE. Okay, next, another thing that needs to happen at the beginning of the year is that you'll do a career assessment with your students. So this will help you to understand what your students really are looking for job-wise and how you can kind of tailor your curriculum or service delivery to them based on what their career interests are. And so this is found under the IDP in ENDMS. So you'll select the student on the left-hand side, and then, you know, it pops down with some different options in gray, and you'll select individual development plan. And the survey results will go in the career section. So you're welcome to use whatever career assessment you have access to. There is one that I know several specialists use, which is ONET Interest Profiler. So that's one option. And I'll go ahead and click the link so you can see what it is they would be doing. I'm not going to walk through the entire test, but I do just want to kind of give you an overview of what it is. So it's a 60-question questionnaire that the students will complete, or profiler. And then based on their answers, it'll spit out information about potential careers, things that may work well for students. 4. Another thing that's really great is they're able to select how much time they want to spend on their education, so they can choose, say, if they want to just finish their associate's degree or if they want to go on
one here.
PhD. Based on what's here, it'll give you different options for careers based on the education level and interest. It'll also give you information about wages and labor market information for various careers that fall under their outcomes based on their profiler results. So that's called the ONET Interest Profiler. It's free and it's online. I would say it probably takes about 30 minutes for a student to complete that. There's a link there, and then of course I'll post the slides after in the webinar chat. Oops, sorry. In the webinar chat channel, so you can go ahead and access it there. Okay, so if you are operating a brand new program, you don't need to worry about data entry for follow-up now, but you will need to do it next year. If you're operating a program that did operate last year, then you will likely have follow-up to be entered this year. So follow-up needs to be entered monthly. This is for specialists who are working in a program that had seniors during last program year. So for the 16-17 program year, if the program you're working in had students that were marked as 12th grade in ENDMS, those students that were 12th grade last year will be included for reporting on follow-up students. So this is where our annual outcomes come from. When you see all our data reporting, what we're looking at is those outcomes of students for the 12 months following their exit from high school or their completion of 12th grade. So what you do, you select the student name and then scroll down to follow-up. So it's under that same gray bar under the student name. You'll have the option to input what type of contact you have with the student, the date of contact, how long you spent engaging with the student, and then what their outcome is. So you'll have options like if they're working full-time, if they're working part-time, or if they're in school, or if they're available but they're not employed. So it'll give you all those options. You can select the correct one, type in a quick summary of your contact, and then click Save. So if you have questions about whether or not you have students in follow-up, or you're not sure, or if you're a new specialist for a program that was operating last year and you don't know what students need follow-up, please connect with Kara and me. So if you're out of school, connect with Kara. If you're in school, connect with me to make sure that the data that needs to be entered is being entered. So you'll hear us talk about the 5 of 5 award. It's something we strive to obtain and be awarded from JAG National each year. This past year was our second year being awarded the 5 of 5. And then, of course, we are striving to achieve it again this next year. And it's based on our follow-up performance, which is the data you enter about students who were seniors last year. So like I said, it's a statewide award, but then we also look at cumulative data from different areas. So for example, all the programs that fall under Detroit will look at the aggregate outcomes from their students, and then they have the potential to be awarded 5 of 5 on a regional level. And then we also look at outcomes from individual programs. So a specific class or school within an area is eligible to be awarded 5 of 5 for their individual program. So this is something that we communicate. This is data as we pull it monthly. We communicate it with managers. So if you haven't seen it already, we have students in follow-up. You can check with your manager. We do pull reports and send them monthly, so you can check with them if you wanted to have access to that data. You can see the stats on the screen, the graduation rate, positive outcome rate, employment rate, full-time jobs, and full-time placement rates are the outcomes that we're looking at for the 5 of 5. And once again, that all comes from follow-up data. At the beginning of each school year, you'll want to make sure you send out some educational information about JMG to anyone in your community or school who may either benefit from knowing or might be a benefit to you if they know about JMG. So some ideas of who you might want to educate about Jobs for Michigan's Graduate would be your students' parents, other teachers in your building, your school administration, of course, along with local businesses, employers, and potential talent tour hosts. So we do have some marketing materials available. Of course, we're always in the process of working on new ones each year, so new ones will be rolled out as well, but we do have some available. They're all posted in Dropbox for you to access under current marketing materials. And if you need help with printing or if you need something customized to your local program, just let us know, and we're happy to do that. Of course, it's always great to direct anyone to our website, which is jobsformigrads.org. We have information on there about the program itself, our performance outcomes, as well as ways to get involved. And then, of course, we have Facebook and Twitter, which we encourage you to have your students follow. And so a great assignment for sometime during the first 30 days would be to have your students hop on their phone or on the computer and follow Jobs for Michigan's Graduates on social media. We share a lot of student success on our Facebook and Twitter, as well as just fun things that are going on in the program. So I know students love it when they see their own picture pop up on social media, as well as it's fun for them to just see what's going on in other programs and to realize that Jobs for Michigan's graduates extends beyond their own little classroom in their own community school. So I encourage you to have them go ahead and like those pages. For Facebook, it's at Jobs for Michigan's graduates. On Twitter, it's at Jobs for my grads. And then for the website, Jobs for grads. Okay, so the last thing I want to touch on, many times new specialists for in-school especially will want to set up a Facebook page for their programs. And we've developed some guidelines around that because it is using the Jobs for Michigan's graduate's name and oftentimes our logo as well. And so the document with the full branding guidelines, they're posted in Dropbox. I believe it's under current marketing materials, branding guidelines, and then there will be two different documents. One is just our general branding, and then one is Facebook branding. So you'll want to go ahead and check that out. If you're having trouble finding it, just let me know. I'd be happy to shoot it over to you. We don't currently have guidelines formally written up for Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, anything else like that. But please circle back with us if you're planning to use the Jobs for Michigan's graduate's name or logo on social media so that we can ensure that the page setup or the profile account setup is in alignment with the rest of our marketing. A couple upcoming dates that you'll want to mark your calendar for. The first is the JAG National Student Leadership Academy. And so this, along with Leadership Day, are the two events that happen for students in the fall. So you'll definitely want to start thinking about them as school kicks off, as well as thinking about which students you might want to bring to these events. And so for the JAG National Student Leadership Academy, registration has just opened up for that. And I believe Kara included it on the Monday morning update this week. So you can check back on that email. I believe registration is $400 per attendee, along with, of course, then your travel and hotel and everything while you're down there. So it's a larger expense to attend that. So check with management about what's your budget looking like, how many students you can bring with you, and start thinking about which students will benefit from attending. And then we'll have our local or statewide Leadership Day in Lansing on November 2nd. This is going to be a day for students who are either already involved in your career association or professional association, or students who will be in your career association. So they'll be working on some strategic planning for their association for the year, as well as hearing from some guest speakers. So that Leadership Day will take place in Lansing on November 2nd. Registration forms will be coming out, I believe, next week, so watch your email for that. And the cost for that one's only $25, so it's much more economical to bring students to the local Leadership Day, but then, of course, if you can bring them to the Leadership Academy in DC, that is such an outstanding opportunity for them as well. So that concludes kind of our essential info that needs to be entered or known for the first 30 days. If you have questions, of course, feel free. I'll pause for a couple minutes here. If anyone has questions, feel free to speak up, or you can post on Slack. And of course, this webinar has been recorded as well, so you can go back and view it. There are resources related to entering all this data on our YouTube channel, as well as documents related to it in our Dropbox folder. So I'll go ahead and pause for a couple minutes for questions. So if you have anything you want me to answer while I'm on the call, just let me know.
All
right, if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Kim, I'll go ahead and make sure I post information about the free paper pencil version of TABE. That will be posted on Slack under the specialist channel. So I'll circle back. I may not get it up there today, but in the next couple of days, I'll definitely have it posted there. So thanks for the questions. Everyone else have a great afternoon. And as always, if you have questions about anything you should be doing in the first 30 days or beyond, you're always welcome to send me a message on Slack, send me an email, or give me a call. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, that was short and sweet.